For the first time tonight, people in Norfolk got to see what an architect envisions for the neighborhoods near St. Paul's Boulevard.
The city presented sketches at a public meeting tonight. They're hoping to redevelop the area. 13 News Now reporter Chanu Her was at that meeting and is live in Norfolk tonight. Chanu.
Yeah, Dave and Regina, tonight was a culmination of 3 public meetings that leaders held for people who live in these housing areas. They were able to give their input to the leaders, and tonight's sketches brought those ideas to life a little bit more.
For months now, Levon Pledger has waited to see the redevelopment plans for the St. Paul's corridor, an area he's called home for 10 years.
We looked at the design and we had our input for the design.
And of course, it wouldn't be a true community effort if he didn't join in on the meetings city leaders have held to get citizen input on what's important to them.
I think that it's a great idea. I think it's something the community can support if it's done in the right way.
On Wednesday, architects and leaders pulled out the drawings and plans for people to see. Barbara Ham-Lee, communications director with the project, says that's the intent of this, to be transparent and to have the community involved.
People were able to drop by to St. Mary's during the day and actually watch the architects work, and talk to them and give them their ideas, and then actually watch the architects put their words to paper.
Some of the major issues addressed were flooding and connectivity with the neighborhoods, but mostly they want it to feel like home.
They mainly want safety, they want really nice housing to live in, and they want to be a part of the rest of Norfolk.
We got to take into consideration everyone and not exclude. I think that people have needs, and the people in Tidewater, Calvert, and Young's Terrace have a desperate need. All right, now leaders will continue working on these plans. Now what comes next is they will have to fill out forms for a $30 million federal grant. The deadline for that is in September. Live in Norfolk, Chanu Her, 13 News Now.
New at 11, a scare for a Virginia Beach family. They woke up in the middle of the night to screams coming from their teenage daughter's bedroom. Family says a peeping Tom broke in through a window and tried taping their 16-year-old with a cell phone. 13 News Now reporter Robert Boyd has the story.
Well, David, it's a parent's worst nightmare. A stranger peeping through their child's window, possibly even trying to get in. So far, police have no idea who this peeping Tom is, but there is security video of the suspect entering and leaving the property.
It's really upsetting, and for this to happen in this type of neighborhood, and if they're willing to do this, they're willing to do anything.
A Bear and Lyra Gavino feel downright violated after they say a peeping Tom looked through their 16-year-old daughter's windows during the early hours of Tuesday morning. Mom and Dad woke up to their daughter's screams.
She said, Mom, I saw a head in my room. Somebody's in my room.
A neighbor's surveillance camera captured the peeping Tom entering the Gavino's side yard at 2:21 a.m.
According to the victims, the suspect picked up a cinder block from the backyard and placed it right here. Then he grabbed a bucket from the side yard, put it on top of the cinder block, then climbed up in order to peer through the drapes at the top of the window.
She was watching TV, sitting on the bed.
Next, the family says the suspect went into the backyard, where there is a second window with an air conditioning unit.
He broke through the insulation and stuck his hand in and videotaped my daughter. My daughter was screaming after she saw a white hand sticking in with a white cell phone with a black sticker in the back.
The peeping Tom was caught once again on surveillance video running from the home. He was on the Gavino's property for about 7 minutes.
I don't know what his intentions are, if he's trying to put in an internet, it's just trying to be a pervert or something, but I just don't know. He's just sick for me. He's just sick.
A Bear has already began beefing up security, planting bushes in front of the windows and installing cameras around the home. But the damage has already been done when it comes to his daughter's mental state.
She's not going to be in that bedroom anymore. We're moving upstairs and swapping rooms.
Now, the Gavino family believes there is a good chance this peeping Tom is someone they know or someone who may even go to school with their daughter. But right now, they have no suspects, and neither do police. If anyone out there has any information on this case, you're being asked to call the crime line. Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
New tonight, 2 men are safe after the Coast Guard rescued them this morning in North Carolina's Pamlico Sound. We're told they were clinging to these pieces of debris after their fishing boat capsized near Hog Island Tuesday night. They hung on all night waiting for rescuers to arrive. Both men are expected to be okay.
A jury today found Portsmouth City Councilman Mark Whitaker guilty on 3 felony counts of forgery. The charges stem from fraudulent loans used to pay for a failed redevelopment project. But Whitaker's legal battle is not over. His defense team is working to get that verdict set aside. They argue the jury did not understand the law in the case because they asked for the legal definition of forgery during the deliberation. The judge has until Whitaker's sentencing hearing in September to decide on the defense motion. So what happens to Whitaker now that a jury has found him guilty? Last year, state lawmakers passed a bill stating elected officials will be automatically suspended if they're convicted of a felony. But in order for someone to be convicted, a separate law says the conviction must be accepted and recorded by the court. That hasn't happened yet because of the defense motion. So Whitaker is legally allowed to remain on city council, and he says he will be at the next city council meeting.
Tonight we know exactly when the USS Harry S. Truman strike group is coming home. Nearly 6,500 sailors will return Saturday. The Navy announced earlier this week the group is coming home 4 months sooner than planned. It's part of the Trump administration's plan to make Navy deployment shorter and less predictable. The Truman, the Arleigh Burke, the Normandy, and the Forrest Sherman are all pulling into port Saturday. And on Friday, the nearly 300 sailors aboard the USS Laboon are also coming home. They've been deployed to the Persian Gulf and Mediterranean since February. In the last 5 months, crews on the guided missile destroyer completed maritime security operations in those areas.
New tonight, staff at a local animal shelter is thanking the community for stepping up. Donations from people like you help them to get off a crucial piece of equipment that will help the animals stay happy and healthy. 13 News Now reporter Megan Perrier is here to explain.
Regina, the Norfolk SPCA was in desperate need of a washing machine. It helps not just for the comfort, but for the overall health of the animals as well. And I spoke with them today about how the community stepped up.
Warm, soft, and easy to snuggle. I'm not talking about these adorable cats, but clean laundry. The Norfolk SPCA's washing machine broke down, and this industrial washer is on its last leg. Bags on bags sit waiting.
So you can imagine the laundry that we do every day with having 100+ animals in the facilities.
This is just one day of laundry at the shelter. Norfolk SPCA Executive Director Kimberly Sherlaw says each towel is important for the animals.
A lot of the cages can be metal cages, so having the comfort of a couple layers of towels makes all the difference in the world.
And it helps keep the animals healthy.
We have a whole nother set of linens that are washed separately from the shelter linens to help you with, infectious disease control.
See, the shelter usually uses its resources in the clinic to help strays like Crow.
Turned out that he had to have his back leg amputated, and he's been here recuperating with us, and he's doing really well.
And since the shelter runs completely on donations, there wasn't much left for a washing machine. So they made moves with social media and a GoFundMe campaign.
And it really just took off, and people have been really generous.
So generous that in less than a day, 2 washing machines were at their back door.
It was instant, help, and you can't ask for any more support, and, to know that your community is right there when you need them.
So tonight, as the sleepiness overcomes and the lights go out, these guys get to rest easy while they wait.
For them to feel like they're more at a home rather than in the shelter. So it's essential to what we do every day.
And if you want to help or donate, the SPCA is always in need. Visit our website at 13newsnow.com for details on how to do it. Live in the studio, I'm Megan Perrier, 13 News Now.